The Reverse Flash Rebirth. Central City. Free! Free to change it all. I've always been fascinated by the idea of probability. In the 21st century, an accident turned Barry Allen into the Flash. But there are no accidents in the 25th century. Accidents are illegal. They cost us time. And after the enigmatic temporal disruption of the early 21st century, time is precious in my era. Everyone rushes through their tasks of unified business and societal chores at a pace set by those before us, but never questioned. As with protocol, I was engineered by my parents and the code for geneticists. My strawberry blonde hair, my blue eyes, and my 167 IQ were all planned. My name is Eobard Thawne, and I didn't always look forward to the future. Despite my academic achievements, it was deemed that I should have a brother. A brother would create a family quota that would ease our tax bracket and give my mother a quotient amenable to the YMA, and more important to my parents, it would increase my social abilities. Next 18 days, you will create your thesis on the uselessness of dwelling on the past both historically and personally, and the negative time costs associated with it. Hey, Thawne, have fun in your bonding lessons with your brother while we practice for the cognizant timing team. I'd save you a spot, but it's first come, first...
Eobard. Mother, I was in the middle of class. You were near the end of class, which will finish at approximately 3:14. I need you to escort your brother to your social bonding session with Professor Hirematch at 3:21, and then you are both to report to psychological analysis at 3:38. We are continually concerned about your tendency to imagine. Yes, Mother. Don't do that, Eobard! We've already lost 47 seconds with your refusal to listen to me, Roburn. I won't tolerate it anymore. But I don't want to go! Stop fighting me! I want my toy blaster! My brother taunted me from the second he was born. His screams as a baby turned into shouts as a boy. I don't want it anymore! I want a CRM bar! You just had one. I want another! You will shut up, or I will... Eobard Thawne. Father? That outburst has been registered in the family log. You waste my time. You are a disappointment. I didn't want to be a disappointment. I dedicated my life to finding the secret to the most valuable thing in our world, time. But because of the mandatory lessons I was forced to spend with my brother, I was years behind my peers in academia. I was rejected by the Flash Museum when I applied to become a student of the mysterious energy source that once powered the proud legion of speedsters, the Speed Force. So, without authorization, I delved into the historical records on my own. You're lucky, Eobard. You're lucky it was me who was alerted to your studies here. Roburn? What are you doing, Eobard? You just cost me... You cost me thousands of days of research. You cost me time. You know the study of the Speed Force outside of the Flash Museum is illegal, Eobard. Don't fight your own brother. Do the right thing. Turn yourself in before the rest of my squad gets here. My name is Eobard Thawne. I was an only child. But as an only child, I had plenty of time. I dedicated my life to the study and earned a place among the scientific elite at the Flash Museum, an institution dedicated to proving the existence of the mythic Speed Force, an energy source that fueled generations of heroic speedsters, including the most famous of them all, Barry Allen. Until one day, there were no more Flashes, and the world became a darker place. Granted access to the data of the past, I learned more than I could ever hope to. I was the ultimate authority on the Flash. It's him, Professor Drake! Quiet, he's about to make an announcement. My fellow scientific historians,
After a lifetime of searching for proof behind the existence of the Speed Force, I believe I am only days away from doing so. I have rebuilt what the Flash called his cosmic treadmill. Some have theorized this device allowed Barry Allen to test the limits of his speed, though others have theorized it gave him his speed. I was beaten to the finish line, but I accepted that. Professor Drake! Congratulations. I asked Professor Drake to share his research with me. I told him we could work together, that I could help him. He refused. There can only be one professor at the Flash Museum, Mr. Thawne. You are not needed here. In fact, you are not wanted here. Tell me what you know about the Speed Force. Tell... When I arrived at the Flash Museum, they were looking for a professor to appoint. No one knew more about the Speed Force than me. That's why the others called me Professor Zoom. But despite all of my knowledge, I was still unable to tap into the Speed Force. Eobard? Don't waste my time. We're worried about you, Eobard. Many are saying the Flash is more myth than fact. They're saying there is no such thing as the Speed Force. The Flash Museum is a lie. I'm sorry, Eobard, but you've forced my hand. This is Counselor Julius. He has agreed to suspend all study at the Flash Museum and close its doors until further... But despite all of my knowledge, I was still unable to tap into the Speed Force. Professor Thawne, what is it? I'm sorry to inform you, sir, but your parents were killed in a tragic weather aberration with the local counselor this morning. Not even my parents' unfortunate death could stop me from pursuing the secret of the Speed Force. For years, I thought that's all my life would ever be, running after something I'd never catch. Hello? I'm sorry to disturb you, Professor, but I'm a reporter with Central City Science Today, and we'd like to do a profile piece on you. For the first time in my life, I fell in love. But I was too late to do anything about it. For the first time in my life, I fell in love. She was a reporter for Central City Science Today. Her fiancé had disappeared a week earlier. I apologize, Professor Thawne. I'll be with you in a minute. I can't imagine how hard it must be, Rose. We spoke for hours about my beliefs in the Flash and the heroic deeds he accomplished. We formed a connection that was special. But when I asked her to join me for dinner, she apologized and told me she couldn't do it. She was holding out hope for her fiancé to return. I was crushed. For the first time in my life, I fell in love. She wanted to be a reporter for Central City Science Today. She had never been engaged. She never even had a boyfriend for very long. The few she had met tragic accidents within months of their first dating. She thought herself cursed. I'm not afraid, Rose. It's not that, Eobard. I told you I just don't feel that way about... I told you I don't think of you like that, and I never will. So stay away from me. Rose, it's time to eat, Rose. Don't bother waiting for an answer. She hasn't spoken since she was 5. I never fell in love. Eobard Thawne. It came out of nowhere. In the middle of the night. The electric shock I got when I touched it knocked me out. I awoke to find a red uniform in my hands. The Flash's uniform. Inside were all remnants from the 21st century. It was a time capsule. It landed right in front of me. It was destiny. The uniform was exactly what I needed. Something that had been exposed directly to the Speed Force. I didn't know who sent it or why. But I didn't care. I found it. A simple spark. Enough to attempt to replicate and experiment.
It was a success. The girl would say she felt a wind and saw a blur push her off the rooftop. It must have been the drinks. She was lucky, very lucky, that I was there. This is my story. My name is Eobard Thawne. I'm the fastest man alive. And from this day forward, I'm the Flash of the 25th century. You won't last long. You'll never find love. You will never be the Flash. Barry Allen destroyed my future. It's time I destroyed his. Sir Isaac Newton's third law of motion. For every positive action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. He came up with that on the day the Flash saved his life from the Reverse Flash. That's another story. This is a simpler one, relatively speaking. Professor Eobard Thawne often runs back to this moment, over and over again. It is the only moment the fastest time terrorist alive hesitates. Not out of fear or compassion, but out of logic. This is our relative past. Professor Thawne watches an event that took place years ago, when Barry Allen desperately ran to save his loved ones from Thawne's hands. In that moment, Barry Allen made a decision that would alter the courses of both their lives. Barry Allen broke Professor Thawne's neck. Soon after, Barry Allen was lost to the Speed Force, saving the universe. But they both returned. As much as Professor Thawne resents Barry Allen for all his perceived weaknesses, as an idol he once looked up to, he cannot erase him from history. Though the Reverse Flash's powers go far beyond speed, they still need to come from somewhere. And they do. They exist because Barry Allen exists. Without Barry Allen, Professor Thawne's own life would unravel. Without Barry Allen, Professor Thawne's own life would Without Barry Allen, Professor Thawne's own life would unravel. Without the Speed Force, the negative Speed Force would never exist. The Reverse Flash would never have the opportunity to discover what other powers it can provide him beyond speed. And there are many to discover starting today.